Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 69 of Weird Mind News, where this week we have a little bit of a hodgepodge mix of media of all forms of entertainment, from a few new releases, a couple of trailers, and a few mixes of news stories. So let's waste too much time, let's get to talking about all things media for this week.
I wanna take you for a ride.
The first of the new releases for the week is taking a page from a European country's perspective of horror and giving it an Americanization and show the fear for a lot of people, British people. As Blumhouse has taken us on a bit of an eerie new holiday location as we have a new take on a German film with the new trailer of Speak No Evil. The film follows an American couple who are on vacation in Italy come in contact with another vacationing family from the UK who invite them back to their idyllic family estate for the weekend in the British countryside. But soon, that peaceful weekend getaway turns into the living nightmare as the family is a lot different than they first seemed to be. Reception to this new film has been well received with praise the performances, with particularly of James McAvoy as the villain. The concept and the tension of fear that this could have happened to anyone. But if you want to have a nice vacation away, then you can check out this new film now in cinemas. Having missed of having a new form of family fun games or just entertaining games like, the little Lego minifigures based on popular IPs and wish for more of them in the current day, well, this is not that type of game, but it is close in concept as those figurines with the big eyes and the big prices have joined forces to bring you this new family adventure game with Funko Fusion. The title will have you play as many different iconic characters from the media of film, TV and video games, from Jurassic Park to Hot Fuzz to He-Man, Mega Man and Nope, as you restore the worlds involved and save the lands from the corrupted power of the vinyl figures. Reception to said game has been met with a mixed appeal, as praise for the design and look of the games to the thin plot, countless bugs and lack of appeal seem to stem from the critiques. I'm sure we'll tide over the young ones and the families until the eventual new licensed Lego game comes along, which I wonder, is Traveler's Tales even still making games for Lego? I don't know. We kinda need new ones soon. Like after Skywalker Saga, and I have some ideas you could do. But if you want to play it for yourself, then you can play it now on the PS5, Xbox Series X and S and PC, with a PS4 and Nintendo Switch version coming out on November 15th. And then we're going to take you for a ride for a new final release for this week, as it's time to duke it out and see who is the best from the world of fighting games and of superheroes combined with a massive brawl with the new Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. This new collection will bring a bundle of some of the best games in the gaming company of Capcom, with Marvel's Capcom 1 and 2, Marvel's Superheroes, The Punisher, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, X-Men Children of the Atom, and Marvel vs. Street Fighter. Play as hundreds of your favorite fighters and heroes to see who is the best overall. Reception to the collection has been very well received, with praise the transition to a new generation consoles, the abundance of options, and play for you and your friends of timeless classics. And if you are up for a ball, you can play this now on the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC in digital form, with physical release coming in November and an Xbox One port coming in 2025. With all of that, that's all the new releases that we have for this week.
You're fired.
Now, live from Dublin, Ireland, it's new trailer time, as we'll be heading off to the Big Apple and going back in time to almost 50 years to the day, has received another new trailer for a new biographical film of comedy with Saturday Night. The film will tell the story of the night on October 11, 1975, where Lorne Michaels, and another person I can't remember the name of, was getting everything ready to record the first ever live show of SNL, where everything can go wrong and will go wrong, from fights, faulty gear, drugs and tensions, and all to taking place with 90 minutes before the cameras start rolling. So I've dabbled in watching clips from this long-running series in the past, and there's been some good ones and some other ones, and there's some appeal here and there, and I can say that this could have been too big to fail, but it seems like it worked out to some extent since it's running for about almost 50 years now at this point, and I've seen from the case of reception, this has been pretty good from some film festivals so far, so it'll be worth a viewing when possible. Now, it currently doesn't have a release date where I'm from, but it'll be releasing in US theaters on the 49th anniversary of the show on October 11th. However, the next trailer for this week is a film that had me invested from the very first look at it, and will show the world that an item built to serve can find themselves in amongst the circuits and circumstances to find themselves, as we have the final trailer for the upcoming animated film of DreamWorks' The Wild Robot. The film follows a robot, wholesome Unit 7134, or ROS for short, who activates on a desert island after becoming shipwrecked from an unknown form of Crash, and soon must learn to adapt to its new surroundings, building relationships with the native animals, and soon becoming a motherly parental figure for an orphaned gosling. But soon when the company discovers about her activation and tries to get her back, she will learn to find herself and defend her newfound home for her and the animals. So DreamWorks in all sense is an odd company that can come along at points and release classics and animated masterworks, and others get weird fever dream concepts like Boss Baby, Movie, or Megamind 2. It has invested me from beautiful animation, a charming story concept, and even to the case of feeling emotions just from the very first trailer. And like this is their equivalent to like Pixar's WALL-E. And I've been hearing nothing but critical acclaim and that you will cry in this movie, so I'm all ready for this. And I'm excited to check this out when it releases in the cinemas from October 18th. Right, so this next one could be possibly political, or maybe just a form of a biopic that I know has a story but relates to someone that has not left the media landscape for the last decade. But we have received a trailer for the upcoming biofilm that's known as The Apprentice. The film will tell the early careers of one Donald Trump, and this played by Sebastian Stan, with it being set in the 70s and 80s, and follow his relationship with Roy Cohn, a fixer and New York prosecutor known for working with Senator Joseph McCarthy, and takes him under his wing to mold him into the businessman he is known for today, besides other things. So this seems to be tying with the likes of the big US election coming up this year, and I've heard a fair bit of stuff since the film festivals earlier this year, from backers being mad at it showing the real person that he is, you know, a very questionable person, to his dark stuff brought up from the past relationships, other sorts of things. As in case with personal aspect, I nearly got invited for test screening for this. I just missed out on the opportunity, I was busy the day or something like that. But I'm intrigued to see this outcome of this, but I guess we'll have to find out when it all comes to be. Film releases in the cinemas as well on October 18th. Now this second last trailer for this week is either we're finding some form of appeal, or else they question that this is a lot taller than 19 inches of pure symbiote, as everyone's favorite alien human odd couple is back for one last hurrah from the Sonyverse, as we receive the final trailer for the upcoming film of Venom: The Last Dance. The film will see Eddie Brock and Venom becoming wanted fugitives and go on a run across the globe to escape from the powerful militia looking to capture them, and the army of symbiotes from Venom's homeworld looking to take him home or kill them, all under the command of the creator of the symbiotes of Null. I've heard rumblings about this main villain of the film, and no sense of anything. This is a series of Sonyverse films that have been the appeal over all of them, compared to even like Morbius and Madame Web, and a bit with Craven, but I think people are kind of fine with this one so far. And you know, they may not be the most well-received projects, but they are the most entertaining and the ones that look like a fun time, and pretty worth a final adventure with its odd pair, and the rumored creation of a post-credit tease with absurd wall crawl. But we'll see how it all comes together when the film releases in cinemas October 25th. The last of the trailers for this week is a film that I can only describe as an about time this is releasing, as after delays and no confirmed release dates, they have finally released a trailer for the upcoming reimagining of the classic Stephen King novel of Salem's Lot. The film follows Ben Mayers, a writer who returns to his childhood Rome of Jerusalem's Lot in search of some inspiration, only to discover his hometown is being preyed upon by vampires, leading him to band together with a ragtag group to take them down and restore peace to the town. So I said it's about time, as it seemed like every year this film specifically was coming out in the fall in like September or October, and they never give any updates or progress or footage or anything like that. But then suddenly it just dropped early this week in trailer form. It seems like it's been made, and what I've gotten from the trailer doesn't look too bad. It could be entertaining, who knows, but maybe worth the wait, hopefully. And I guess we'll have to find out when the new film releases on HBO Max in the US on October 4th, and a week later in cinemas here on October 11th. And with all that, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
What's up, my mammals?
So we're starting with the news, and our first story for this week is similar to the likes of the one from last week, where we were talking about a category in the realm of superheroes. More particularly last week, we talked on the label DC Comics with the likes of the Batman, Joker, and Green Lantern, just to name a few. Well, this week, we're heading over to the other side with the Marvel label. It's not just for the likes of a multitude of superheroes, but rather all of these stories are relating to one in particular, and that's with everyone's favorite friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. As of this week, we got 3 different stories relating to the character that will be a focus of upcoming projects from both the MCU and the Sony side and the realm of film and television. So let me just swing in and talk on what has been announced from this week's superhero news. So the first of the news stories relates to the next solo outing in the MCU, as it's been given that the mass success of the last 3 films for the MCU is nothing to just leave as is, because people want more from him. It looks like we'll be seeing a 4th film after all, overall, for solo outing. And the last time I mentioned about this was a whole debacle between Sony and Marvel, where Marvel wanted more of a streetwise hero, and Sony wanted more of another multiverse team-up with the other 2 Spider-Men. And it seems like it may be going into the latter, which just feels a bit underwhelming, given that, you're building up to the massive multiverse stories of the two Avengers films, so make it history-wise here would make more sense to fit the whole script of things with how, like, you know, No Way Home ended and stuff. But hope this is news for this week will change, as we now have a director in place for the fourth film, as a little bit of a change in scope, as instead of John Watts, it was confirmed on Monday that Shang-Chi, director of Destin Dan Cretton, will be helming the fourth movie. So in most cases, I think it's a great choice, because Shang-Chi was a really great Marvel film. I hope we get a sequel update some point soon, because, you know, everyone wants a sequel to this. And I can see the fight scenes and all getting a bit more of a flair of rhythm and movement to like how Shang-Chi was, because that movie had really great fight choreography. I just hope as well that between the director and the working on the concept, they could go for a street level hero now and build them leading into the whole multiverse, like with Secret Wars and Doomsday, bring to the webheads back and make it more worth it and with them ones than this. But I guess we'll have to see, we'll learn more as the project goes along. And I think they're planning for a 2026 release, but I guess we'll have to see how that all turns out. The next story is a little bit of a rumor right now, but may have also been confirmed, but we are taking on a spin-off that's series based on the character from the acclaimed Spider-Verse films, as of course the upcoming series based on Spider-Man Noir. So things have been quiet about this series since it was announced to be in development all the way back in May of this year, with the only confirmation that the creative duo of Phil Lord and Chris Miller were involved, and the project and Noir will be once again played by Nicolas Cage in live action format this time. Now, besides the whole setup and supposed rumors, tension and clashing in the development process, we now have another possibly casting confirmation or rumor in the information superhighway going around. It seems like acclaimed Irish actor Brendan Gleeson has been in talks to be in the series and may play the main villain role in the series too, with that character currently unknown. It's a case I must likely enjoy seeing Gleeson in all these projects and roles I've seen, because you have a lot of fun with them, from, you know, the serious tones like Banshees of Inisherin to the more goofy and heartfelt like Paddington 2, sorry. So I'm intrigued to see who will be in this series, and hopefully more and more big names stars will appear in the show and sees the light of day, and let this creative duo make something on level as like the Spider-Verse films. But speaking of, and of course, get to it. Yes, we have some updates regarding the upcoming conclusion to the Spider-Verse trilogy with the highly anticipated Beyond the Spider-Verse. Now, initially, it was supposed to be a case that we would have already had the finale already released this year back in March, but due to the likes of time constraints, behind the scenes issues, and the ongoing strikes at the time, the project saw the film be delayed from its initial release date with an unknown date to follow it. So most was, you know, mainly quiet of wondering when we were going to get a release date for it, and most all we got this year was, of course, the Spider-Within short film about anxiety and shit. And many wonder if we would get any indication of when we would see it, but it looks like through a messy timeline reports and rumors from this week, we may have an idea of when. Now, according to some sources, the finale to Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is looking to have a release sometime in 2027 at the earliest or latest. Now, you think that does not sound too bad. Like, I myself am fine with this because it gives more time for the animators to work on a great masterpiece like the first two. But this is where things get a little bit messy. You see, these same reports were indicating that that Sony had actually scrapped a large amount of the work that was already done on the project so far and made them to start again as some form of possible tension between Phil or Miller, possibly, you know, connected to the previous thing, and this caused a bit of a concern, a lot of disdain towards Sony, which is not a serious case because we've already got another bit with Sony later on in a different story, because it has been shown that Sony does not know how to handle this character as of late, with their films and the Rogues Gallery and Spidey Heroes being a lot of a mess. This was a discussion for a few hours on late Monday and Tuesday, but the rumor was quickly debunked by both the film's composer of Daniel Pemberton and from one of the writers of Chris Miller himself, who and Miller stated that the reels are actually coming along really nicely, so that brings some sense of ease of the whole ordeal. Now, like the 2027 release seems more logical, given the case that each film was about 3 to 4 years of release in between. Like, Interview was 2018, across 2023, so a 4 to 5 year gap makes sense. And, you know, if you're making masterpiece, take all the time you need on this, guys. I will be there day one, IMAX, full suit, everything like that. Unless you find me at the premiere. And in case, I will do it, because, you know, these movies are a masterpiece. And I will fight along the person that I share the first two too. So I know in case this will hopefully be another masterpiece, but hopefully another perfect trilogy for sure. But I want to know your thoughts on all these Spider-Man news. Do you think it's a good director choice? Do you think that Brendan Gleeson will be playing a particular villain in form or a new original character? And when do you think we'll get Beyond the Spider-Verse? Let me know what you thought down below, and let's discuss them there, of course. So we're going to bring it down a little bit for this next piece. There's a little bit of a somber story, as we once again lost another icon in the world of entertainment, and it was someone that you may not recognize, maybe a bit in, like, you know, normal form, but you will probably know his voice. As earlier this week, we had sadly lost the legend that is actor of James Earl Jones. Now, Jones was a well-regarded and respected actor with films and roles like Fences, where he played on Broadway, Driving Miss Daisy, Field of Dreams, and many more, but most would recognize his voice as the ultimate Sith Lord of Darth Vader from Star Wars, or as the King of Pride Rock with Mufasa from the original and live-action remakes of The Lion King. And throughout his expansive career, also became one of the few actors in the industry to receive the coveted EGOT Award, which is an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony, and was a well-regarded and respected actor then, now, and for many generations to come, for many actors and for many inspiring ones. He passed away earlier this week at the age of 93, surrounded by his family, and I hope the legend will rest in peace and become one with the Force. So we just give a moment of silence for him. So this next story is going to be a little bit more of a bit of hodgepodge collection of short stuff from topics from this week that were announced or surprising announcements from the week. I felt best to add them into this one story compilation, so we're not going to waste too much time on this mess details, and we'll get into the topics at hand. So the first part, of course, is just a little update to the first story from last week, which was about the story on the casting of the upcoming Lantern series for HBO, as it's now been confirmed that Josh Brolin has now declined the role of Hal Jordan in that series. So the likes of the other two choices of McConaughey and McGregor still are on the table, or some other new choices may be made over time, but if any more updates come along of like many new different casting choices may come to light, I will probably update in a later episode, but we'll have to see from there. The next announcement was something I would never thought I would hear make a return, but we live in strange times. But around a decade ago, there was a massive addictive game on mobiles and tablets that involved you guiding a small little creature through an endless array of pipes and challenging your friends to see who was the best overall. After a short while, the game was a massive success, but was taken off the App Stores by the creator because he could not deal with all that sudden success. Many created clones and even sold their phones with the game still installed on the device, and all seemed to end there until just this week, when it was announced that we'd be seeing the return of the addictive game of Flappy Bird after all this time, coming back sometime next year. Now, likes of this new version, we'll see new forms of weird-looking birds, new locations, a possible progression and story level system from the trailer, all other good stuff, and I honestly didn't expect to see this return in all sense. I think I have an old phone with that still on it somewhere, but I don't know if my phone still works with it, but I can try and find it, or maybe it's just a clone version or something like that, I think. But I guess what to look for, I might give it a try, this new form, when 2025 rolls around, but I'd like to see how it turns out. Now, the last announcements this week is a concept of series that I thought was really well and truly done. There's probably still some frozen life left to fall out. So there's a lot of series, of course, that make an established franchise more than a trilogy with animated films, such as like Toy Story, Despicable Me, Shrek, and Kung Fu Panda, just to name a few. But there's often always one other franchise that kind of gets overlooked, and in the course of 2 decades has released 5 films in its series. This is, of course, the franchise of Ice Age. Now, since 2002, the former company Blue Sky released 5 full-fledged movies, 2 holiday specials, one for Christmas and Easter, a couple of tie-in games, and a series of shorts involving the non-verbal squirrel of Scrap. And it was that series of, like, a little collection of films that was the last we saw from these characters and the final creation from the studio. And it seemed the franchise had basically gone extinct. But that was until just this week, as Disney announced they were in the process of making a 6th film in the franchise. The news was made from John Leguizamo, the voice of Sid and also biggest complainer about being recast as Luigi from the recent Mario movie. He made the mention that the 6th film was in the works. In all sense, I do have a bit of a guilty enjoyment of this series over the years, but it's the point to myself where I think, what else can you really do with this series? It would not be right without the company that made it a franchise it was. Now, I know that this would technically be Ice Age 7 because there was a Buck Wild film that was made with another studio, but it's not the same, and that one was kind of it was okay, it was tolerable enough in all sense, but in most cases it could be a new reboot, or else it could do with something about the end of the Ice Age period into the new world or something, but who knows. But it's concern of what will come from it all. I hope it's like the other films, be enjoyable. I guess we'll see how this whole thing develops overall. But what are your thoughts on all this? Who do you think is playing Hal Jordan now? Would you play the new version of Flappy Bird? And what are your thoughts on a 6th Ice Age movie being made and the series of Ice Age in general? Let me know your thoughts and feelings about all this down below. The final story for this week is a bit of some tech news for the week, and it was initially was a focus on 2 focuses, but I decided to gloss over the other one to focus I know more fair bit on. Because the first one, of course, was actually, I was going to skip, is the usual Apple event that, happens every year. You unveil the iPhone 16, and all sense it's the usual same looking phone, same price, minimal changes, with most of the new focus on like stuff like, AI features. But every other company has made it the same, unveiling their programs with AI and stuff. So I see one, I've seen them all. I will probably come up with, I might bring it up in the Orange Choice video down the line, but I'll see about it. But we are looking at the side of the gamers, as we have some new tech that has caused quite a conversation. So we are aware that console gaming is a massive thing right now, with all of likes of PlayStation, Xbox releasing new next-gen hardware back in 2020. Nintendo on its way with their new console coming out next year, which I'm looking forward to seeing the unveiling party some point in the next few weeks, of course. But we are focusing on the first mentioned company of PlayStation in particular for this story. Now, they've released different versions of their consoles, from the original back in 2020, the special editions with like different skins and stuff like the Spider-Man one, and recently a slimline version last Christmas. And since then, there was all rumblings for a more advanced Pro Edition on the console. After many rumors and even a tease in some celebration images of its 30th anniversary, earlier this week, Sony had a special tech showcase to unveil their new PlayStation 5 Pro. So it comes with the usual aspects. It comes, any new addition of a more pro version of a console with the likes of more upgraded and faster GPU, more advanced ray tracing, a bigger storage drive, which I think is 2 terabytes for this one. And the case they're also going to use some new form of AI tech to improve upscaling and all that sort of stuff. But this is where I start to see the problem, as well as a lot of people online. The issue comes with the focus of comparing visuals on a normal PS5 to the Pro, and there was so little difference that it looks like there was nothing in detail difference, which starts to question if it was all a ruse, or if there is really no difference at all. The other element is the price and the lack of some other aspects with the console, as going from the announcement to the console is coming in at €800 or $700 a pound, which is way too expensive for a Pro version. That is even without any disc drive or even a stand for the console, which I find dumb for a price, and they can't put a stand in with it. Because when I worked for for a software section for a toy shop last year during Christmas, when the Slim came out, there was plenty of space for a stand to go, and we checked the boxes when we had to test some stuff, and there was plenty of space for one. So I don't understand why they didn't add it in. But that it really just feels like it's worth the price. Is it really worth the price for a Pro if there's really little changes in difference, and feels like it's just the same level of specs as the Series X? Because the Series X actually launched as more powerful than the PS5, and people kind of just gloss over. It's like, oh, Xbox and all that shit. They specified the reason for the price was to do is because Microsoft hadn't released one yet, and they were supposedly going to come out with one. They want to beat the price to it, which I don't understand. Why make it 800 quid there? €50 or €100 more than the price of it is now for $550 for a standard one, or $450 for a digital one. I'll make more sense, kind of thing. A $550 digital, $650 standard, make more sense. Not €250 more for it. That will include a €30 stand for the console, then another €100 for an external disc drive, and a whole €60 to €80 for a new game or something like that. So I find it just way too pricey. Now I know in the case they've also emphasized they're bringing out refurbished classic versions for half the price, so about $400 for like a disc drive one. But even still the case, since I have my PS5 right there, and then I've done gameplays for it as well, it runs like a charmer. And honestly, case since I don't see the reason of buying this one. In most cases, I'll save that money for plenty of other games to come for the consoles, the new Nintendo console, and in most cases probably helping my very important person to me get their PS5 in the line so they can play it for GTA 6 release. So, help out when I can. But I want to know your thoughts on all this. Do you think this is worth a price for a PS5 Pro? Do you think it has shown enough to really entice you? And will you be buying one in particular? Or do you think this is all a bit too much money and Sony is really just getting a bit scabby with their cash? Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and with all that, that's all the news that we have for this week. So before I wrap up everything for this week, I have one more, little special segment to throw in, of course, because, it's been long enough, but why not add one more piece into it? And I'm going to be talking a part of something that I really have not a clue on, and surprisingly talking about money and finances. Now, don't worry, I'm not doing the whole Matt Damon thing and saying fortune favors the bold and made everyone lose their money, as South Park quoted.
Fortune favors the brave.
Now, you see, a friend of mine named CJ, who I met on the radio course, I worked with in the radio course program I did last year, which is exactly a year ago today, I think, of when we started. It's probably a few days after I record, this uploads anyway. I actually started creating this new podcast, simply known as The Fiscally Challenged, where she will sit down with people that have more knowledge of the concept of money, crypto, and all other forms of financial aspects to help those that seem a little bit confused on these concepts and how they will work, and make things seem much more easier to manage and help them work on understand finances and money much more better overall, if you catch my drift. Now, it sounds like a great addition to listen to, learn for something new and interesting, all on the basis of hour-long interviews to help with the fiscal issues we face. Now, if it sounds like something that will interest you, of course, then you can check it out in audio and podcast form on Apple Podcasts, as well as on Spotify, and you can watch the video podcast on YouTube, with 2 episodes currently available, and I think there's a new episode out for about 10 different interviews. They might continue on afterwards, but we'll have to see how this turns out. And pretty worth a check out. And you can follow them as well on socials. I think you can follow on Instagram and TikTok, if I know correctly. And you can keep up to date on the project as well as it develops. And I hope you will tune over the course of the series, as I will do so myself when I have some time to while I work on this project. So yeah, just a nice little kind of special segment shout out. If you have your own one that you want to get shout out by me, and hopefully like the small audience, but growing audience in particular, let me know down below in the comments, or even on shoot me a message on social medias. You can find the links above in my socials to give suggestions and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope you enjoy listening to the Fiscally Challenged podcast when it comes available, new episodes every week, I believe. So look forward to that.
Oh, yes.
And now, all of that ends episode 69 of Weird Mind Newsroom.
Nice.
I hope you enjoyed this new episode. So pardon me, in case it's very warm, so that's why I have this shirt off anyway. But let me give a few little updates, of course. So reviews, I haven't gotten round to reviews yet. I'm trying to figure out which ones I want to do first. There's a few show ones, like if there's ones coming out recently, I might hold off. So like case like the Only Murders one I think is next on my list. I might wait till season 4 finishes and do like an episode apart for that one. So I'll probably have a look and see what the next movies are, which I think is Dune. That's gonna be a 2-parter video kind of stuff, and I'll do a few other ones. Like I'm gonna probably do Deadpool and Wolverine. I have another one I can add to that reviews now. I saw Borderlands the other day. It's alright. It's not the I was been a lot worse from the reviews and stuff. I think I'd probably give it like a 4, maybe 5 out of 10 kind of area grant. I'll have to see when I write the reviews up kind of thing, or do like a short quick summary one and stuff, but I'll get a few more reviews in that capacity. Then on to the gameplays. Of course, you've probably seen already, I have already started The Last of Us, part 1 in particular. I will get around to recording the Mario Wonder and Cyberpunk ones as well. I kind of want your thoughts below. Should I do a case instance where I just focus on one game and then move on to the next game, or do a case where I do kind of an instance during the week where I do one game on a certain day, go to the next one, then go to the next one, and then go back, loop around while working between like the reviews and like the weekly series and stuff, that and some other stuff, and like long form videos when I have them ready, because there's variation ones of different lengths. Like I can say this last one is probably gonna be at least about 20ish views, 20ish parts. Wonder I feel is going to at least be about 10, because I think honestly I've played through both of them, love both of them, kind of case of variation. Cyberpunk will probably vary, so I don't know too much on that one, but I'd say it'll be a fair few episodes. I will probably just let me know down below, or even the links and stuff like that. I'll probably just figure out then. And you also vote below on the next ones I'll play after these games on the consoles, and I'll upload the files down the line as well. I'm gonna get to doing the other ones. Long form ones, they are coming along as well. I'm just trying to find time. Been busy like in my own head, with mentally and stuff with all things this week, as well as sorting out like so trying to find some work, dealing with some like programs and stuff, I got like notes to actually start learning to drive. Yes, me behind the wheel, crazy, don't you think? And a few other aspects and stuff. I was just working bits and pieces out. There's a lot of stuff went on this week. I'm not going to get into, but I'm probably going to keep the episode there and wrap this up, because it's getting late and I just I probably rambled on long enough for you to listen to. But as always, I hope you all enjoyed listening to my ramblings for probably another half hour. But if you did, and you want to see more from me of this and other concepts, then simply like and subscribe, as I upload new videos every single week, multitude of variations when I have the stuff available. Let me know your thoughts below on everything that was discussed this week, from what you saw the new releases, your opinions on the trailers, and your thoughts on all the news stories. And I'd love to have a conversation with all of you about your different points and opinions from this week in particular. And as always, I'm going to leave it there, and share it around as you can as well. So as always, you all stay being wonderful people, and have a great day every day, doing many great things, and of course to keep being you, because no one else can do what you do, of course. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there for now, and I shall see you all in the next episode. So take care everyone, and goodbye.